The Democratic National Convention has released its list of speakers and the schedule, and it's as boring and as conservative as you expect it to be. So I'm going to get to these names here, and look, I'm not surprised. No one should be surprised, but it's still disappointing to see just how boring this list is and how conservative it is. So let me go, I'll put this full screen so you can see this. Now, clearly, look, we start with Bernie Sanders. I guess that makes sense. You could argue maybe he should be the headliner on one of these nights, but to have him open the convention, I think there is some symbolism to that maybe that was their thinking. Okay, fine. So he starts off the night. Then you have, some other names here that are worth mentioning: Andrew Cuomo, Gretchen Whitmer, Jim Clyburn, Gwen Moore, John Kasich, a former Republican governor, Doug Jones, Amy Klobuchar, two of the most conservative senators there are right now, and ending the night with Michelle Obama. Then on Tuesday, Sally Yates, Chuck Schumer, John Kerry, AOC, the only other person on the left in these entire 4 days. So this takes place August 17th to 20th, and there are it's 2 hours a night from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. And yeah, as I'll discuss more, the only two people on the left in this entire list are Bernie Sanders and AOC. Then you have Bill Clinton here, Dr. Jill Biden. Then we move on to Wednesday and Thursday. Nancy Pelosi, who's just a horrible speaker, but I guess, they have to include her as she is the speaker. Hillary Clinton, someone you didn't have to include, but of course they're going to. Elizabeth Warren, Tony Evers, Gabby Giffords, the VP nominee. So again, they have not announced who the VP is as of recording this, but whoever the VP person is will be swapped in. And if there's somebody else on this list, they'll put them in that VP spot. So this entire process of, here, let me actually show you this tweet from Jennifer Epstein here, saying, seeing lots of comments that Susan Rice must be the VP pick since she's not on the list. That's not the way this works. The lineup is totally separate from the VP process. If the person Biden chooses on the schedule, they'll just fill that hole with something else. So, of course, the convention people that are setting up this list, they don't know who Biden's VP pick is. That is going to be, a small amount of people that know that, so it doesn't get leaked out. So that's a completely separate process from the speakers list. But it also brings me to when we get to Thursday here, I got some questions. But finishing off this list here, we got Gabby Giffords. So yeah, the VP nominee, Barack Obama, headlining on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, you got Cory Booker, Gavin Newsom, Keisha Lance Bottoms, Tammy Baldwin, Tammy Duckworth, Chris Coons, again, one of the most conservative senators there are, Kamala Harris, then the Biden family, then Joe Biden. I find the placement of Kamala Harris really weird. Having her speak right before the Biden family and Joe Biden, I don't really get it. They're acting like Kamala Harris is this incredibly popular senator. Oh, everyone loves Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris had to drop out of the race really early. She didn't even make it to Iowa because she didn't have the support to carry her forward. So to treat her with that spot doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, it's possible she'll end up being the vice president and move to Wednesday night with Barack Obama, and maybe somebody else will fill her place. But I don't know. I find it kind of weird that Kamala Harris is speaking right before Joe Biden. Now, also worth noting here, they have a number of representatives and senators that they are not popular, at least not nationally. Meanwhile, you have Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, incredibly popular congresspeople, not on this list. Pramila Jayapal, incredibly popular, and someone who can almost bridge the gap between, this more conservative side of the party and the more progressive side. Also, Jayapal not on the list, of course. And, of course, these people are not going to be on the list, but it would be nice. People like Nina Turner, Cornel West, or even Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky has come out to argue for voting for Joe Biden. But they're going to ignore a public intellectual, the most popular public intellectual on the left, because they're afraid of most of what he says. So this is the issue with these sorts of, with a convention speaker list like this. It shows you what the party's about. They're just completely exposing themselves here. I mean, the perfect example for me is you have only 2 people on this list that vocally and actively support Medicare for All. 2 people on this entire 4-day list. Yet, polling on Medicare for All, not even just Democratic voters, this is all voters. All voters in the U.S., 69% support Medicare for All. If you poll just Democratic voters, it's between 85 to 95% of Democratic voters support Medicare for All. Yet, 2 people on that list support Medicare for All. And it's not just about Medicare for All, but it shows you the value set that people like Bernie Sanders and AOC fight for, that is simply not shared by the vast majority of Democratic representatives. So, something like this, I mean, it flies in the face of the idea that the Democratic Party has any connection at all to their voters or reality. And the excuse that they will use, and people will often use in defending them as well, you know, when you poll people, most Americans self-identify as moderate or conservative. So, in that sense, this list makes total sense, right? Mostly moderates and conservatives on this list just because, you know, most voters say they're moderate or conservative. Except most people, they don't apply the same values to those labels as other people do. So what may be moderate to one person is not moderate to somebody else. Or what may be conservative to one person is not conservative to somebody else. Meaning, if you poll people on the actual issues, like on Medicare for All, or like on raising taxes on the wealthiest, the vast majority of voters support that. But many of those same voters will self-identify as conservative or moderate, even though those are not conservative or moderate positions. So you can never, it doesn't make any sense to rely on polling in terms of how Americans self-identify, because that doesn't tell you anything. As different people apply different things to different labels, you have to look at the actual specific issues, polling people on that. That will tell you where people actually lean politically. Now, the speaker list is directly in line with moves like this. TYT, the Young Turks, were denied press passes at this year's DNC. They were at the last DNC on the floor, on the show floor. They had live shows there. It's weird for them to be rejected this time, though you could chalk it up to this being, you know, a COVID convention and it being largely online. I'm not even sure what press passes ultimately mean in this sort of kind of online convention. But regardless, to deny the Young Turks press passes, I think shows you exactly what the Democratic Party right now is about. They are trying to pretend that this massive wave of progressive voters, of more left-wing voters, just that they don't exist. And that Joe Biden's going to continue down this conservative path as a Democrat, which is why these fights, these protests have to continue. If he wins, they have to continue, and I think they will continue. As you know, unlike Barack Obama, who gave grandiose speeches, very talented politician, that's not Joe Biden. Joe Biden's not fooling anybody. He's not going in there with a hopeful, hope and change message. Barack Obama put a lot of people to sleep that first couple years because he was able to basically pretend that he was something that he wasn't. Joe Biden can't do that. Everyone knows who Joe Biden is. Joe Biden ain't putting anybody to sleep. So if Joe Biden's in and people still don't have health care, which of course they won't, are being evicted, which of course they will be, you still see massive income inequality or wealth inequality, which of course will still exist if Joe Biden wins, the protest, the anger, the fight is going to continue because people are going to want and expect real change, and they're not going to accept anything less. And with Trump out, there's no more excuses for Democrats. The last link here is just the official Democratic Convention list and page here with their own little blurb here, some bullshit about what that day's about. So you can read through this. I'll link to all the stuff below the video. I maybe live streaming these speeches next week, Monday to Thursday, August 17th, 20th. I'm not sure if I could do it on YouTube. YouTube tends to be ultra conservative with their copyright issues, even though it's definitely fair use for me to stream this and cover it and discuss it live. But YouTube tends to side with the copyright owners. So I may be doing it on Twitch, but I'll have to see if I could even do that. But if I can, I will be streaming it, as I don't want anybody to watch this by itself. It's not going to be enjoyable. It'll be incredibly boring. The only way you should be consuming this convention is with some kind of commentary. If it's not mine, then somebody else who's doing a live stream. But you can't simply watch this on its own. It's going to be really boring, and you're going to likely see a lot of the same bullshit come out of these people's mouths that we've heard for decades now from the Democratic Party. But this is what the party is, and this is why this election is about picking the person you want to fight, not about the person you like. You got two horrible choices. You want to pick the person that you rather fight. Do you rather fight Trump, who locks up peaceful protesters, who tear gasses moms, or do you want to fight Biden, that is who represents a very weak Democratic Party, very out of touch Democratic Party, that I think will allow the left to really build support under a Biden administration because of how weak this party and him as a candidate and potential president will be.